The opinions expressed on the radio program by the host, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Kendall Stevenson. My co-host is Shaquana Terry. This is GenesisRadio.com, and we are the Empowerment Show. We generally like to start the show off by showing something that we're grateful for. I got a friend of mine, and he has prostate cancer. So I'm grateful that he's got some wonderful people around him. He's got really good doctors, and hope that things go well. I have a couple of guests, Miss Joanna Williams. Hello.
Hi.
And then I have Miss Hope Chestnut. But again, we'd like to start off with a moment of being grateful for things that we have. And I always ask Miss Shaquana to hit them up. So hit them up.
Yes. Always grateful for life. Always grateful for love in my life, prosperity. Always grateful for God, first who's in my life, and for our lovely guests that actually keep us on our toes and keep us informed in the community. So thankful for them as well.
Would you like to guess? Have anything that they'd like to say on that matter?
I'm grateful for everything right now in my life. I'm grateful for being
everything.
Here.
Yeah.
Well, today's show, we're going to touch on a couple of touchy topics. One of them is going to be mental health. The other is going to be firearm safety. I was going to use the word gun, but I realized that's not the proper term. The proper term should be firearms. Okay. The young ladies want to give an opportunity or take a moment to promote themselves, so please do. We'll start with Joanna.
Hi, I'm Joanna. I'm Vice President of Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club, the first Black gun club out here. Also, I want at the end of the show would like to give important scheduled dates of events that we have coming up. I'm also part of NCNW as the parliamentarian, and we do a lot for the community. And I also am a co-host on a podcast called Life Lessons for Times Such as Now.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. I'll just say a few, or maybe one. My name is Hope Chrisman.
One we know that you're running.
Right, I am running for state representative in the 176th. So that's one of the things that I am doing. I'm also a mental health practitioner. I'm very passionate about mental health services and mental health education, mental health programs. So that's the main reason why I'm here, of course. And I do a lot of things in the community as well. I coach. I'm really active in a lot of different things in the West End community and also the greater Monroe County community.
All right, so we thought we'd try something a little different today, where we would marry mental health with firearm safety. Lately, there's been quite a few issues that's been going on where people have gone out and they've done these mass shootings. And every time they have one of these mass shootings, it always comes back to a mental health issue. So I'm trying to find out who should actually be responsible for these people. Should it be the person that sells them the firearm? Should it be their parents at home, which we recently had a case where the parents have gone to jail because of that. Somebody needs to be responsible, a little more than just the person that has mental health. So who would like to go first and touch on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly that the person that commits the act is responsible. When you get your permit to carry, when you file the application or the information that's necessary to purchase a gun, it's limited in the amount of information that it asks about mental health. And believe it or not, as much as this is controversial, I actually agree with that, because I feel that you might be limiting someone's civil rights if you're asking them all kinds of questions about their mental health. Because that would be saying, oh, you can't get a gun because you have, a certain kind of physical ailment. And so it shouldn't be separated like that. But, there's so many different ways to look at this. I was just discussing this because of, coming on the show with some of my family. And, we were talking about if you get drunk. So you're at a bar, you get drunk, the bartender serves you, even though the bartender recognizes that you have had more than what you should have, and you go out and you have an accident and you hurt somebody, that bartender is responsible. But that is an actual physical, visual, interpretation of that individual. And you can tell when somebody is completely inebriated. But, someone that has any sort of mental health diagnosis, if they are following their regimen and, properly medicated or, seeking the counseling that there's, that they should be seeking, it's an invisible disease. So, and who are we to judge? Like, what are the levels? What are the levels of depression? What are the levels of bipolar? What are the levels of schizophrenia? You may have the diagnosis and have very limited, symptoms of that. So it's like, so how do we decide? We're kind of playing God a little bit.
Right. And I think also, to your point, it really can't be divulged because now you're going into HIPAA violations as well. So there's so many laws and acts and acts of Congress that are actually preventing all of that stuff from actually going on a gun application. If you seem to be okay and you can answer these questions and they ask you if it's true or not, right?
Right.
And so you're actually, it's that person who's responsible for it, whoever's applying for that license or whatever it may be, or whoever is actually doing the act. They're the ones responsible for it. But you can't put that responsibility on a community because it's really not their fault.
I wonder if the victims would actually agree with you.
I mean, I would, as much as I understand and sympathize, I would hope so, because that's taking away all of our rights. So, I mean, an issue that we have, or not an issue, but if you are, if you use medical marijuana, you can't get a gun license.
Right.
So, a lot of people use medical marijuana for anxiety. So is it eventually gun control people? And I'm a Democrat, by the way, just so everybody knows, I am not anti-gun in the least, but, medical marijuana a lot of times is used for anxiety. So if someone that's, all about gun control, says, wow, that's used for anxiety. So now let's start, if you take, Prozac, if you take, any one of the benzos in the anti-anxiety category, if you take this medication, you can't get a gun. I mean, it just opens up such a door, and it's really our civil liberties that are at stake there.
Well, just a note, just to say a note about the medical marijuana. I've heard recently that there is a bill to actually change that about the medical marijuana.
Yes.
Right.
So if the bill goes through, then that's
goes through.
Under watch. How do you feel about the gun safety? I mean, you are a vice president of a gun club.
Yes. The way I feel, see, I'm from the Black culture, and I have to say this. You spoke about it taking away a lot of our rights. Most of our rights are already taken away. We don't have the same, possibilities, or I'm trying to think, we're putting too much on the mental incapacity of people. Well, the mental cases, I'm going to say. Mental, it didn't come out right, because right now I'm kind of a little, I like what you said, but it's hitting home for me, because I have a lot of mental people that in my family, friends, loved ones. And do I want them to have a gun? No, I don't. Do I want it to come up if they go to purchase a gun? Should they have the right to get one? Not all of them, not a lot of them. Now, when it comes to gun control, the wrong people have the guns. People that don't care, they're not abiding by the law. So if you're going to abide by the law, this is where a club comes in, say Blackfoot, where we're here to help make you responsible, be a responsible firearms person, owner, give you the confidence to carry it, and know what you're doing. So if I go out there and God forbid something happens to me, I have the confidence today to say, okay, I'm ready, I'm prepared, and whatever happens after this, I thought about it, I know what my target is, and it's on.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
on.
Mhm.
My question is, and I'm not familiar, is there anything that out there that's going to marry these two topics? You know, marry these two situations, because if you're working in mental health community, my daughter also works in mental health, and then you're with the gun club. Is there anything that's happening currently that's going to put these two topics in one forum, right? And
Great
then
question.
and then try to address it from that angle,
Mhm.
At least
especially
try to
in
find
our
some
community.
Yeah,
Right.
find some solutions to these
Right.
issues.
Correct.
And that's a
Correct.
great question.
And not just the bad guys are doing the shooting now
No, no.
that shoot the mental health
No,
people.
they're not.
Okay, you got the good guys. There was
Right.
I guess I can mention it, the Hall family, where the young man had mental health and they actually called for help, yet he was still bang bang shot down. Right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Mhm.
so they did. Along with this training, again, this is why I say who's going to be responsible.
Well-
if we need more training, if the police need more training, how do they get more training? And,
Well,
and
one
how do we somewhat change somewhat of the attitude of the country when it comes to mental health?
Yes.
Well, it can start with you going to a club, learning and being a responsible firearms owner. Especially like one thing people got to look at. What's the difference between a knife and a firearm?
Nothing. They're
difference?
both weapons.
A knife in your home is a utensil. A knife outside your home may be a weapon.
Mhm.
A gun in your home is a weapon. A gun outside of your home is a weapon.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And a weapon, let's just make it clear. A weapon is designed and it has one purpose, and that purpose is to kill. Okay, somebody can say the words protection,
Right.
whatever words they want to, whatever frame they want to put it in. When you put that weapon in your hand, it's to kill. Okay, you put 3 in the chest, he's done.
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel also that is something when you're talking about firearm safety,
Right.
that is something that really needs to be expressed, which I'm sure you do. Because I know, depending on who gets elected into governor or president, you're going to have people that are all of a sudden, causing a panic that your gun ownership is at stake and what have you. And I recall when President Biden was elected, there was an individual a female that went out and bought a handgun. And I didn't know that this person was even was a shooter, that, whatever, anything with guns. And it just came up because we had just come back from Thanksgiving at my sister's house where we were all on the range. And so that's how it came up. And I said, really, I didn't know that you shoot. We can go shooting sometimes. There's these, great programs we could do. And she's like, no, I don't shoot. I'm like, well, you're getting your permit to carry. Do you have a gun? Yeah, I have a gun already. Well, how are you going to learn what to do? And she said, my husband will tell me what to do. And the fact that this person was getting a gun just because they were afraid that they weren't going to be able to get one because of the political powers that be, they now have this gun and they're going to take it out with them into the community, into the public, and not know what to do with it, not be ready to make that decision. Because if you're going to point a gun at someone who's coming at you, you need to be prepared to fire
And
not have it taken away from you instead and used
You're
against you.
You're right. And that was going to be my next point, because it's not just people with mental health. There are people who are actually afraid and who need to learn how to be able to deal with their fears, especially, depending upon what it is. If it's of the opposite sex, of the, a different race, they need to understand how to combat those fears and actually, get to the point where, okay, this is not an enemy of mine. I need to make the accurate assessment. And I think that's the issue too, because with the gun club, that's what you teach. But a lot of people aren't looking at it like that. Just like you said, to your point, it's, you need to know how to use this firearm in the right way and under the right circumstances.
But then how do you think you get to do that? By participating in a club.
Yes.
Okay, so, I was one of the women that I was a little afraid of, well, not in my old days, but now, as an adult, afraid of, like, I don't want to carry a gun. I don't want to, but I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the skill set or the knowledge that I needed to actually be able to say I'm okay having a carry a weapon. Sorry, firearm. And I think that there are a lot of people, especially women out there, that are afraid. But
Mhm.
guess what? There are so many single women. Not say even if you're married or whatever, you need to protect yourself. That's what it
Absolutely.
comes down to. We out here where we live at. I think I was more worried about animals,
Mhm.
bears and stuff, opposed to people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't carry over state lines,
Right.
so it's irrelevant, how I feel about other states. But
Well,
out
you
here,
can carry in certain
you
states.
can. That's
Okay?
the you can, but
Let's not
it's
make that
gonna
a
There's
take
some
like
requirement.
no,
All right,
you
reciprocity.
yeah,
can,
you
you
can.
can. If they yes, like I can go to Virginia with mine, but
Yes.
cutting through Washington and Maryland, I have to make too many phone calls
Right.
to check in and let them know when I'm doing it, or make sure you don't stop for
Mhm.
gas or anything
Mhm,
to
mhm.
make sure you get it over to Virginia.
Mhm.
Yes, I get that, but for most of us, a lot of us don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I have a story. Can I share? Just last week, I was followed,
Mm.
literally
Mm.
followed in my car. First I was like, no, I must be bugging out. But then the way I was going, I said, okay, let me go this way. Let me do this. Let me do that. They were following me,
Ooh.
and it was a girl. It was a guy who was driving and a girl.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get out the
Right.
car. Um, I found the way. I got away from them because they must have wasn't from out here, because where I was at, I went out one way. Where they was facing, they realized, oh shoot, I only can go to the right. Where I went out, where I can go left or right.
Gotcha.
So I went left. So I guess it was like, okay, she, we couldn't keep following her. And the scary part of it was, as I was alert, but I wasn't scared or nervous.
Mhm.
I was ready.
Right.
I was
Mhm.
prepared. I was.
Well, I'll tell you a lot of problems right now. What I see with the issue is that it's been politicized.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's been. And this not for nothing. No one's walking in your door taking your firearms. Okay, they're not going to do away with the Second Amendment. It's not going away. We have more firearms in this country than we do people.
Right.
Yes.
So it's no way someone's coming in to take your firearm. But certain politicians have made that a point to make them afraid. They use fear as a tactic. They're coming to take your guns, so I better go out and buy a whole bunch more guns. Like
Mhm.
when Obama became president, I think it was crazy the way people
Yeah.
were buying firearms. So nobody's
And why
taking your
is that?
firearm. They were afraid.
I
And
know.
what are they afraid
Lots of
of?
reasons.
Here's a question. What
There
are
were
they
lots of
most
reasons
afraid of?
there.
Yeah.
Most afraid of. Okay, we should be more afraid of them because they have more of the guns and they do more of the shooting and stuff, right? But yeah, I believe that they're more afraid of us for whatever reason. They see us walking down the street, the woman grabs a bracket book
Right,
and
right.
pulls it to the side.
Well,
I mean,
that's
but
ignorance.
anybody
That's
could
racism.
do
That's
that.
ignorance.
Yeah,
But
but
yet they still
look,
start.
you had a woman that went inside. She knocked on the door because she wanted to pick up a package. Something, it was lately on the news, and it was an older gentleman. He comes out long, 38 long, right? You can see them walking in
Right.
the camera as he's
Right.
walking, right? Pow, pow, pow! Shoots her three
Well, that was
times,
a whole
kills her.
scam. I mean, that was a whole scam. I mean, he was
Yeah.
set up from the beginning for
But
that.
he was
but
afraid. He was afraid because he saw a black woman out there. Look, I got a friend. I've known him for a very, very long time. Right? I call him up. He says, "Meet me at the house at a certain time." He knows I'm coming. I go to the house. I pull up. The lights and everything is off. I knock on the door. He doesn't answer. So I get back in my car. By the time I got back in my car, he was on one side of me with a shotgun, and his wife was on the other side of me with a 9mm. And you know what I told him? You didn't see me. What you saw was a black man pull up in your driveway,
Right.
and you
right.
got scared.
And so do you attribute that to mental health?
I attribute that to
Exactly.
racism and
Exactly.
fear.
Okay, all
That's what
right.
I contribute that to racism and fear,
Okay, it
So-
very well could be.
and
Right.
that could be attributed to mental health. That is a mental health. You're right.
No, I don't
No.
feel that
Racism
is.
is mental
Racism
health.
is not.
I don't
let's
think
let's
so.
keep
That's
those
not-
separate.
That's
Racism
taught.
is
That's a thin line
it's
there.
taught,
It's
right.
It's definitely
Right.
something taught.
Absolutely. So let's go back to what you were saying about how that fear, how our elected officials or what have you put that fear in us, and it's being fed. It's fed by different organizations, fed by, the NRA is
Yes.
huge
I was gonna say you
on
can say it.
fear. And I still have friends who are members of the NRA because they overlook that part. And I'm sorry, I can't give my money to an organization that is going to be fear mongering like that. I'm actually a member of the Liberal Gun Club. There is a Liberal Gun Club, and I've been a member for a couple of years now. And unfortunately, we don't have anything local. There's a state chapter, but it's a
Well,
great.
I just wanted to let you know, Blackfoot Gun Club is local.
Right, I
Yes.
know. Well, I
Yeah,
already
yeah.
told them I was going to be
Yeah,
joining.
I'm just letting you know.
Yes, y'all hear
I
that?
already told them I was going to be joining. But it's the fear mongering,
Yes.
and it's what I, as a mental health practitioner, way back, when they started cutting programs, when they started like the housing programs for people with mental health issues, where they had housing and they had people that were there, that lived with them, that helped them out,
Mhm.
and all the funding went away for that, and people were literally with mental health issues getting kicked out on the street. And then this is bad. This is bad. We need to keep the funding up, and we did not. We did not keep the funding up, and now we're in the situation that we're in now. And what I don't like to see, anytime we have a shooting now, it's like, oh, mental health. Well, you know what? You screwed us on mental health decades ago. You can't blame mental health now. Give the money back, because they're looking to not blame the gun culture. Because I personally feel, and I've said this before, it's not in a sense guns that are the issue or firearms that are the issue. It's the gun culture that we have here in America, where guns have more rights
Of course.
than women, than children.
Yeah.
And that to me is ridiculous. What is that like? We're worshiping false idols.
But this is why you have to promote safety.
Absolutely, I agree with
Safety
you.
is the key, is paramount when it comes to firearms. Okay, and when you get to learn, control, because you was talking about
Mhm.
control, having what's the difference between control, firearm, and safety. Yeah, they're under the same umbrella, but to me, being trained properly, knowing what you're doing. That's like if you go to Walmart, right? If you're a person that carries, right? You go to Walmart, right? And someone bumps you. What are you gonna do as a person that carries compared to someone who illegally carries?
Ooh,
What are you gonna do? That illegal person is gonna
yeah.
push you back,
Mhm.
or you as a legal carry and conceal is gonna say, wait a minute,
As a
is this really
responsible,
worth the fight?
responsible, right?
Is this really? Because if something happens and I have to pull out and I'm going after you, there could be a kid behind you.
Right.
There could
Yeah.
be someone else beside of you. These are things that are taught that you will learn from Blackfoot.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna tell you honestly, I've been around weapons for a very long time, and had to do my thing. But you very well know that once you get into it,
Right.
as they want to say,
Mhm.
that adrenaline starts
no
to start
turning
to
back.
hit in.
Right.
And once that adrenaline hits in, and that heart starts to beeping, and boom, 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 like it's jumping out of your chest, and fear.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
I don't care. Not
Absolutely.
unless you're one of those people that have no remorse,
right.
but fear definitely comes in.
It does.
Okay.
Plays a part.
Because I remember sometimes we did our thing, and the first thing after it was over, the first thing I did,
Mhm.
checking for holes.
Right.
Right.
And the first time I got into it, my head was on the ground, and I was doing this,
Mm.
But you was illegal,
and I
or
was trained.
illegal?
United
okay.
States Army
Oh,
trained.
right. Okay.
Okay. So fear jumps in, that adrenaline jumps in, and that heart is beeping, boom, boom, boom. So at Blackfoot, actually, when you're going through the process of training someone, you actually teach them how to breathe properly.
Yes.
You actually teach them how to how to stand
How to
properly,
stand.
hold the weapon properly.
How to pull your weapon. We're taught how to, depending on what type of bag you carry, depending on where you hold your weapon, we're taught how to pull it out in time enough to defend ourselves, or you got to get used to certain things, and you would think that's so that's minute, but it's not.
I tell you one thing though, in order to get to where we want to be in this country, that takes actual voting power. It
Right.
does. In order to get
No,
the
it does.
control or the safety or the proper training, that takes the voting power. Now, a lot of the voting power in this country is done through the electoral college. She could tell you about that.
Of course.
Right. Well, I mean, so we're looking at the national, we're looking at president where the electoral college is used. And unfortunately, a lot of people right now, and I don't want to go into a debate whether you like it, don't like it, or whatever, but when I'm out talking with constituents, what I hear is people don't want to come out and vote because of the electoral college, because they feel their vote doesn't matter, it doesn't count. So, when we're looking at those federal changes, absolutely, the electoral college, and depending on, on the state, and are we a red state? Are we a blue state? Are we a purple state? In a sense, you can almost just figure out by looking at that who's going to win a federal election. But, it's really important that when we have, like in this, election year, it is a presidential election. But there are also a lot of state positions that are open, and on both tickets there are multiple individuals running, multiple candidates on for the primary, which is April 23rd. And so I urge individuals, look to see who's running on your ticket. I'm running for state representative. I'm running unopposed, which is wonderful for me. That doesn't mean don't come out and vote. We still need a good showing to come out and vote. And just to remember that the Electoral College is only on the federal level, that when you're voting on the state level, your vote matters. We've had people lose or win by just a handful of votes. A friend of mine ran for an office that lost, I believe, by 3 votes. Your vote matters.
At least he was
Thank
in
you
the
for
running.
He was in the running. He
Thank
was
you for explaining that, because a lot of people don't understand
no, and
that.
I think it's really important that, when anytime anybody says that to any of us and we're in conversation and somebody's like, oh, my vote doesn't count because of the electoral college, that's only for president.
Well, I tell you, if you want to get any rules or any of the regulations or any bills passed when it comes to gun safety, then they have to be voted on.
Oh, yes.
Everything that we need in this country have to be voted on. Is that not true?
Yes,
Absolutely.
that is so
Okay,
true.
so gun safety and gun control, this is why I kind of marry the two, because let's say one without the other, they really don't exist. What you have is anarchy. You don't have rules and regulations,
Yeah.
you will have anarchy. We go back to the Wild Wild West. Everybody strapped onto a gun. We're almost there now anyway, because we are a gun-toting
right.
society.
Yes,
Again, it
absolutely.
goes
We are.
back to the gun culture.
And I want to go back to a point that you made earlier, or just a comment that you said, when you were in a position where you had to fire your gun or firearm, and you kind of like had your eyes closed and you were just bang bang, you were shooting, like
That's right.
anxiety, your heart palpitations, all of that.
Protecting
Now,
yourself.
You're protecting yourself at the same time, but with that, you're trained. United
Yeah,
States
I was
Army.
trained. I was
Okay,
trained at the
you're
time.
trained United States
At the
Army.
time, I was a year in.
Exactly. So with you doing that, right?
Mhm.
With you taking those actions, and then you have someone on the flip side who isn't trained
Mhm.
or who may have anxiety issues as well, not necessarily mental health, right? But anxiety issues. How is that okay? We can't, because the way that you, and I'm not trying to pick on
No,
you,
no, go ahead,
right?
pick on
But
me.
the
I'm
way
good.
that you explained it was like, okay, this is what I do, but it's still, I think it's almost the same thing when someone else does it. If they have a mental health issue, they're taking, their mind is far removed from it as well,
Mhm.
right? So they are in the same position as you are emotionally.
Mhm.
So really, both of the emotional intelligence is actually taken out of both situations.
Absolutely.
Well, I can
Absolutely,
agree. I can
with you.
agree, but I don't agree.
Okay.
And I don't agree for a reason, because it's not a mental health issue. I'm not going in
Right, he
there.
wasn't saying
This is something that's triggered right away because of a response.
I understand that, and that's
But you said
exactly
you
what
were trained.
happens.
Even though you're trained,
Yeah.
even though you're trained, people follow you in the car down
Right.
the street,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Right? And suppose you actually had to get out and do something.
Right.
Right.
I just pray. I
Some-
do what I
yeah.
gotta do.
Some people freeze up, even though they've been trained.
That's
I understand
you're
And
that.
they pull it out, but that's not, I wouldn't
No,
consider
no,
that
no.
to be a mental health.
No,
No,
I'm
definitely
not
not.
saying that is mental health, but I'm saying it's actually the same reaction that a person with mental health. Because like I said, my daughter deals with mental health patients, and I have mental health people with mental health
Right.
issues in my
Situations,
family, and their brain is reacting the same exact way, except that they're diagnosed and you aren't.
Well, see, here it is.
Right.
Here it is.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Wait. Here we go.
Okay, all
So
right.
every time I see one of these mass shootings,
Right.
and I hear about these mass shootings, well, none of them people look like they're afraid. I see them when they
Oh
walk
my
inside
God.
of the
They're
school.
not.
They walk inside of the school. They lock, cock, and they go do their thing.
You
And
gotta
none of
understand,
them
too.
look like there's fear or any remorse. That's another thing with the.
Yeah.
With the
I
difference.
agree with that.
They have no remorse about taking a life.
I agree with that, and you have to understand too. Lawyers, the judicial system, some lawyers actually, they, in order to win as a defense attorney, that is what they're going to use because they know that's the one that's going to be more
Right.
lenient.
Right.
So it may not even be that that person has a mental health issue, and that's why mental health
Right.
is getting a bad rap.
Absolutely.
It's because that defense that they're using. It doesn't necessarily mean that they actually have one. You
Right.
can walk in and see that person. No, they did that intentionally. It was something that was premeditated, and you know that. But guess what? That defense attorney, because mental health is on the table and can be taken lightly,
Right.
and they're going to get less years or whatever it may be.
Right.
They're going
And
to
here
use
it
that
is.
as a
Here it
defense.
is. Here it is about a court of law. It's not what you say, but what you can prove. So
Exactly.
if you go into a court of law and you scream mental health, where's your records of it?
Right, and that's supposed to be
You gotta
tested.
you gotta be tested. Someone has to test
You
you and
can't
say, yes, you have mental health.
I
Yes.
understand
Well,
that.
and then, so I mean, let's go into the. I mean, I'm not an attorney. I don't even play one on television. But you know, when you go, you know, into court, they're going to. I've watched enough Law and Order. They're going to do some sort of a psychological evaluation on you if you've been charged with something. But I think, you know, what we're doing here is we are just mass labeling mental health. And are there people who commit crimes who are having a mental health crisis in an acute mental health situation?
Yes.
Absolutely. Are there individuals in an acute mental health situation who are, if you just want to use plain old terms, kind of flipping out and the police shoot them? Absolutely. So there are instances of mental health that we do need to teach our law enforcement about, like better handling them. And we do need to look at those acute cases. If, like, you know, if somebody is not on their medication and they haven't been on their medication, then, you know, that's a situation that doesn't happen overnight. If you go off your medications, if you have bipolar disorder, if you have schizophrenia, and there are, you know, other diagnoses, that you don't change. PTSD, huge. But so PTSD is different. I'm gonna leave that one out for a second. But with those others, you don't. When you stop taking your medication, you don't just change overnight.
Right.
It takes a while for that medication to come out of your system. So there should be family, there should be loved ones, there should be individuals around you
And there
who
is.
notice that there's a change. So then that situation, when you talk about who's responsible, but then again, you know, we've seen situations where someone with mental health issues, you know, an acute situation is either injured or killed by the police after the family has even said they have mental health problems.
Mhm.
So, you know, like you said, how do we do this? How do we work together? You know, I think, you know, we can start here on a local level. Let's
Right.
get this train moving here. You know, we can start with Blackfoot, and, you know, myself as a mental health practitioner, and bring a whole bunch along. Let's go sit down with the district attorney, you know, Mike Mancuso, who is very, very much agreeable with, you know, with interest in mental health. And he's actually doing a gun program for me. I know, you know, we can go back and forth on our district attorney,
Mhm.
but, you know, he would be the one locally to talk to get some programs going
Yeah.
here in the county.
By the
We wanna
way,
get
Mike
something-
Mancuso, he'll be on the show soon.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, you know, at the state level, then, you know, we're talking about gun control. That's how they word it. Then we have to talk to our legislators. You know, right now is Maureen Madden and Tara Probst, and, you know, our state senator, Rosemary Brown. Let's talk to them. Where do they stand? And we'll be hopefully Hope Chrisman in the 176 after November 5th.
So you got nobody running against you.
No, not in the primary. I don't. I do in the general election.
I'm a little concerned with the politics out here where we live at. I don't think it's fair, you know, because so many people of my culture have ran, did not get it, and I'm not going to sit here and try to change it up to make it a black and white thing. Not at all, but you know, it's time for a change out here.
Absolutely.
And who are y'all speaking to? who I don't see, and I'm in the community.
Well, I could vouch for this. All right. First, the chair of the Democratic Party is Tamiko Patterson,
Mhm.
African American.
Mhm.
There's a lot of African Americans that are running.
Running.
No. Kenya, he'll be
What?
Malcolm.
They just got it.
Kenyatta.
They
Malcolm
just-
Kenyatta is
Yes.
running.
Yes,
Right,
Um,
but you're
running.
talking
I'm
local.
talking
But he's
local.
already, yeah,
and-
Malcolm
and-
has already
and
been in
up
elected
to this
positions.
point. Like
Because
you,
Krista
I've been
Caceres
out
is
here.
now-
I mean, I'm not trying to debate. I'm
No,
not
I
really
feel
sure.
I
I've been out
get it.
here over
I've been here
20
for quite a
years,
bit
and
of
I ain't
time.
heard from half
And I'm
of
going to
these
tell you
people.
something about some of the brothers and sisters out here. They do a lot of complaining, and that's what they do.
Any other people don't?
I've had, but listen, we okay. Let's put it like this: if you got a complaint about something, no, I'm cool. If you have a complaint about something, right?
Yeah.
You're adamant. Oh, the politicians are this and the politicians are that, and they don't do this and they don't do that. And I say, hey, brother, look, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. I'm gonna take you to one of these meetings where the politicians are, and here you can get an opportunity to express yourself. They even have the card. You can write down your questions on the card. You can turn them in, right? Brother sat there, had nothing to say. The next time I saw that brother, I said, don't you ever complain to me about anything again when it comes to politics.
Oh,
So if
okay.
we're not going to get
Yes,
involved in
yes.
politics,
Mhm.
if we're not going to vote,
I'm a voter.
but
See,
a lot of us already say we're not going to vote. We don't want to vote. Our
Yes.
vote doesn't
I
count.
agree
Right,
with
A
that.
lot of us don't want to get involved in politics.
I
You
agree
can't
with that.
complain when you don't see us there.
Well,
I
we
agree with
need
that.
black folk need politics. I mean, see, I'm getting stuck on my words
Oh,
now.
You good?
You
You
got
good.
me.
No,
Deep
no,
breath,
you
girl,
good. You
deep
good.
breath.
You good.
He got me ready, y'all. Because would like to hear more from politicians on another level with gun control and gun responsibility.
Mhm.
That's what I would like to see, and for our community
Right.
as well. And to be honest, for as far as people with mental issues, I think that it needs more research needs to be done because we now that certain cultures are seeing more mental cases, just like the opioids. Now they have a different name. Now we really can seek help. It's been out there happening and there was no help.
I think the issue with that as well is that, and if we're talking about the black community, they don't. We for a long time mental health was not a thing,
Absolutely.
and we did not go to the doctor to
Right.
That's true.
get that diagnosed. And it's always been something else other than mental
Right.
health. Okay. So I think that we are I think we are years behind
Oh my gosh.
when it comes to that and recognizing that is an issue in our community.
Yes.
So while we're making strides, we're not making them fast
Right.
enough because we still have challenges. We still have blockages there that where even my grandmother is like, what? I've never
Right.
heard of this. You have because your father had it or this
Right,
person had
right.
it. But
Yeah.
but you're not identifying it as that.
Right.
So I think that we haven't made those strides because we haven't really been in tune to it. We haven't really we didn't really want to label it as such.
Right.
And I think it's not just in the black community. I think it is everywhere. And like you said, our older generations, they don't understand it, even though everyone had it, had the symptoms to go along with it. They didn't give it a name.
Right.
And and then we go back to the stigmas. I mean, there are stigmas and blaming mental health for everything now is making the stigma worse. It's not making it better. It's making it worse.
I agree.
So mental health is getting blamed for everything. Listen, if anyone, and I apologize for using this term. They used to call it going postal. Crazy bad year at work, and you just lose it. You might have not ever had any sort of a mental health concern in the past, the anxiety, depression, anything.
Yeah.
And anyone can lose it at any given point in time. But I also feel like we look at mental health, but I feel like as a nation, our mental health has changed. And I feel that we all have vicarious trauma because of, and there will people will debate me on that because vicarious trauma is a term that's basically been used with mental health practitioners. But I feel that when we watched 9/11, when we watched The Bodies, when we watched it over and over and over
Yeah, that's
again. This is traumatic.
Yes.
And any type of trauma over and over again changes the chemicals in your brain.
I agree.
So check this out. I just want to say rest in peace. Her name is Eleanor Bumpers. She was one of the first persons that I know that had mental health, and because of untrained police officers, that she had been shot down and killed. Okay, we're going to take a little station break. We're going to introduce who we are and tell us how you can reach us.
All right. Hi,
Sounds good.
I am Shaquana Terry, and I am the co-host of the Empowerment Show here on GenesisRadio.com. I have my host here, Mr. Kendall Stevenson. He is here hanging out, and we are hanging out with, and you can both say your names on the mic today. You can start with you, Joanna.
Hi, I'm Juana Williams with I'm the Black Vice President for Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club.
Thank you.
And I'm Hope Chrisman, candidate for state representative in the 176, and also a mental health practitioner.
Okay, and thank you so much, ladies. We're having a wonderful conversation about mental health and also, of course, gun control and safety. And we are the PA Empowerment Show, and we are on GenesisRadio.com. If you would like to call in or ask any questions or even have a opinion about anything, please give us a call. We're at 888-304-4401. Again, that number is 888-304-4401. And
We're located
there
at
you go.
we're located at 383 East Brown Street. That would be East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Just to let you know, in August we got something coming up. That's going to be August 17. That's Unity in the Community. And we really like to have the entire community come out and enjoy themselves. You'll be able to take photographs while you're there. The kids will have cotton candy and get their face painted, and they'll take rides, and we have swimming. And there will also be live entertainment. So we really, really appreciate it if the community would come out at Danbury Park. That's going to be August 17th. And the brother that's running it, his name is Terry. Hi, Terry.
Terry's in the house.
Yeah, Terry is the man. Terry is the CEO, and he kind of runs the show and takes care of everything, makes it possible for us with keeping the lights on.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
Now, Hope,
Yes.
you were getting ready to ask something. I asked you about PTSD.
Yes.
So how does that relate?
Why did I
to us?
differentiate that?
Right.
So with PTSD, it's just a different dynamic because it's the diagnosis, the actual diagnosis of PTSD is in the DSM is fairly new. Even though people have said PTSD, and we understood what it was, but it's a fairly new actual recognized diagnosis. And it's something that, you have certain classes of medications for certain types of diagnoses. And with PTSD, there could be just a different variety of diagnoses that are included with that, and looking for the proper medications, because there's more with counseling involved in that, and talking, and I think PTSD is probably one of the more difficult, if you want to say, mental health disorders. I hate to use that terminology, to work with and correct, because PTSD, post-traumatic stress, it happens over time, like things that have occurred to you over time, and working through those is very, very difficult, and it takes a lot of work on the part of the individual to help themselves to feel better, to understand where the trauma comes from, to understand where the reactions come from, where the possible mood changes might come from, and sometimes it's often misdiagnosed. So it's just a little bit of a different animal.
So I just want to go back a little bit back to the responsibility part of this. When a person is diagnosed with the mental illness PTSD, and he comes back to his doctor, physician, the therapist, and says, "Hey, I need help. What you're giving me is not working, and I need help." Now, that therapist doesn't get back to you. 3 months go by, 5 months go by, 6 months go by. Now you ask for help. You told him, "I need help." You get into one of those mood swings. You're outside, somebody bumps it, you bang. Now who's responsible?
You
Yeah, you still are.
You
responsible.
still
And
are.
that's-
So
and-
that,
yeah,
that
I
takes
get what you're
anybody else.
saying.
Anybody else, I come to you for help.
Right.
Said I need help. I'm having a problem, I'm having this issue, and I got mental issues, and I need help.
You was failed by the system,
You were
but you
failed
were
by the
still
Yeah.
responsible.
Now that
Yeah.
doesn't seem fair.
No, it
Absolutely.
doesn't.
When
And
we
that's
talk about the person with the mental health, how we address the person with the mental health,
Right.
how it's not fair to them,
right.
how it's not
Agreed.
fair to them.
I agree.
That's one of those things that it seems like you're being pushed to the side.
Right.
You know.
Let me just put it into perspective for you when it comes to mental health and the practitioners that aren't available right now.
Exactly.
Because it's so new, right? And my daughter, she's going to Villanova for her master's. And the director of the program said that there's so many schools, so many places that are hiring for mental health counselors, but they don't have the counselors for
Right.
it.
Mm.
So there are more jobs out there which is so crazy now, right? That's different in a lot of places. Usually you have more candidates than you have jobs, but you have more jobs than you have candidates right now because or licensed counselors. And they're trying to do something about that. Like I said, they're making headway, but you're going to have kids coming out of school. My daughter's 22. She's going to be coming out trying to diagnose someone 56.
Right.
She hasn't had that life experience, So I think that there's so many different moving parts that go along with this that they just cannot be solved overnight.
Right. I agree with that. We definitely don't have enough mental health practitioners. And I feel it's really important. Like when a business opens up, we offer them, or when a business wants to open up, we offer them all kinds of tax breaks and things like that. So they can, hey, yes, come to our community. We really need your business. We're going to give you ABCD for the first, 5-10 years, what have you. We should really consider doing that with mental health practitioners.
I agree.
Giving them the incentive. And in all honesty, it just doesn't pay very well.
Not out here.
It does not pay very well.
Mm.
When I graduated with my master's degree in social work, at that time, whatever the average salary would have been, I am not even making $10,000 over that, and I'm actually doing pretty well in the position that I'm in. I do not have my license. I'm actually going for my license. I've only been a social worker since 2009, but I never wanted to go that route to be licensed. I wanted to stay more administrative. But as in anything, I remember when I was graduating high school, all you needed was a bachelor's degree. Oh, nope, sorry, you need a master's degree. Oh, nope, sorry, you need a license, LSW. No, you need a licensed clinical social work.
Yes.
So, I mean, they keep upping the ante, and the salary is not following.
And I think the reason why they're upping the ante, and I'm sorry,
Okay.
I think that the reason why they're upping the ante is because the level of education you need to have for that particular field of work is extensive. There are many social workers out there who are almost just like counselors. You just sit back, you listen.
Oh,
but we need effective
Right.
therapy. We need all of those things. So in order to have that, you need to be clinician
Absolutely.
to actually evoke change. If you don't do that, then
And you were talking about, possible inexperience. I mean, you need X amount of hours in the field to sit for the LSW, and then you need it's a couple thousand,
yes,
hours in the field under another, licensed clinical social worker before you can sit for the exam.
Yeah.
So you are getting the training, you are getting the experience, but again, it's having the salary after you go through all of that training and the cost of college. It's having the salary and having the respect.
Yeah.
Because I feel a lot of times, as a social worker, even though we're part of treatment teams and what have you, we're not viewed in the same capacity as an actual clinician, nurse, doctor, what have you. We look at the social aspect. We're the ones that will notice more if a patient is not themselves, they're not eating, they're, one time I had a patient who was crabby all the time, had the worst mouth you ever wanted to hear. And then I went in the one day and offered this individual something to drink and was saying please and thank you and telling me how wonderful I was. I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it wasn't, and with the nurse was just like, the O2 level's fine and this, not everything else. Yeah, they're good. I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
So, being taken serious. And right now, where we're at in this country with mental health, we need to be taken serious. There are no social workers, to the best of my knowledge, in the state legislature right now, and that needs to change.
Yeah, absolutely. So, young ladies, we're getting close to the time to end. We've about got a few minutes left. I'd like you to take that opportunity. I understand it's something that you wanted to promote. And now, listen, when you promote this, I need to know. We need all of the information: who we can call, what web page that people can look on, and what are you offering?
We got that.
I'm listening.
Hello, we are Blackfoot. Okay. I would like to promote the next few events that we have going on, which is this Saturday, April 20th, from 1 to 3. We have a class. Now, the class we're conducting is for paid members. So if you would like to join this class, I know you said you wanted to join, Hope.
Yes, I do.
Just become a member and you can come. It's being held at IQ Cigar Lounge from 1 to 3. And the class is on continuing the matrix, dry shooting, and beginner's self-defense.
You say become a member.
Yes, becoming
What's
a
it cost?
member.
What's it cost to
Our
become a
annual
member?
price right now is $50 for the year. And you get a free official Blackfoot t-shirt with it. You get the first 2 classes are free.
Nice.
And then you would have to take a test, to show your skills by our very skillful trainers that we have, which was on the show a few weeks ago, Dutch and Kenny.
Mr. Jones.
And they're the best. Like I said, they put confidence into you. They help bring out your confidence.
Right.
Good.
So another event though that we have going on is at the huge library in Stroudsburg, right? We have a greet and meet, which we have it every 3 quarters, where we have a greet and meet from 11 to 1. You come out, you meet the board, you meet other members, and they sit and tell you a story. So if you're not sure you want to become a member, just come to one of the greet and meets and you'll hear everything.
What date was that? I'm sorry.
That is on Saturday, April 27th. From
Saturday,
11
April
to
27th.
1
From 11 o'clock in the
1
morning to
p.m.
1 p.m.
at Hughes Library. And then Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, we are hosting at the IQ Cigar Lounge a domino and bid whist tournament. Woo! From 3 p.m. to 7. And then on May 18th, we have another class on self-defense. So every third Saturday of the month, we have a class.
Great.
Where can I get this information?
You just go on Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club at gmail.com. Again, Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club at gmail.com. Our phone number is 570-468-1557. Again, that number
faster than I can write. Gotta slow it down a little bit.
Okay, that number is 570-468-1557. And then I just have 2 more to put out there.
Take your time.
Well, 1 more. Sunday,
Not too
June
much time, but take your time.
Sunday, June 30th, from 3 to 7, we have another spades tournament at the IQ Cigar Lounge from 3 to 7. So please come on out. If you have any questions, give us a call. Again, our email, our webpage. You can find anything you want pertaining to Blackfoot under Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club at gmail.com.
And you have a Facebook page because I joined your Facebook page.
See, yes.
What is the Facebook page?
Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club at gmail.com.
We gotta make sure we're talking about the Blackfoot Pocono Gun Club.
Blackfoot
Was
The
that-
first
Pocono,
African
Was that
American
Blackfoot?
The
Pocono
first.
Gun Club?
in Pocono
Yes,
and Lehigh
yes.
Valley.
the first.
Hope
Very
we're
nice.
gonna let you have your
I'm
last.
actually, I talked a lot today.
Mhm.
So, but, I just want to remind everyone that the primaries, Pennsylvania primaries, are April 23rd. Please get out there and vote because your vote does matter. Make your voice heard and come join Blackfoot.
That's right.
And I'm gonna tell you, for those people that say my vote don't matter, you're right. If you don't, it don't matter.
Right. Yes. And
There
this
you go.
and these are the primaries, correct?
These are the
Yeah.
primaries.
All right. And what date is that, Hope?
April 23rd.
April 23rd. Go out
Yes.
to your local voting,
Right.
your polls, the centers, wherever you have to go vote and vote, please, because these are the votes that actually matter.
Right.
Oh, and
Right.
it's time
For your
for your
from your
mail-in
community.
voting. If you haven't done it yet,
That's-
it's time. Not right now. Fill out your ballots, drop them off in the mailbox. So
So essentially, you have no excuse.
And you can call voter registration, the voter registration office in the courthouse, if you don't know where your polling area is. And I don't know that number.
and honestly, I don't. We don't really care who you vote for, but you
Just
got to get
vote.
out and vote.
Yes.
That's your right. It's your right to do that. A lot of people have died for that right.
Right.
That you can do that.
Yes.
And everything that we have, and all the rights, whatever we have, all came because of a vote.
Yes. Exercise your right.
All right. So Kendall Stevenson,
Shaquana Terry.
we're out.